The voice actor really sold it for me. I think if he had a different voice, I wouldn't like Herman as much.
No, like that was made for like Herman.
It's like they told the voice actor, like, this is a man who is desperately selling this like book persona. He needs you to believe that he's an action hero.
Like he's desperate for you to believe he is.
And that's what he put in every single one of Herman's lines. "'Tis I."
Here's I. Switch over. Let me just, I guess, add out there that we are switching over to this.
I hope the next game is a team-up game with Dirk and Herman.
Dirkman.
The Dirkman Mysteries.
Give me one.
It would be cool if it was a Dirk Chiselton game and Herman did have a cameo.
I just want to see him.
Every other time we saw Dirk Chiselton before that, like, close-up animation, I thought that big thing on his face was his beard. I didn't know he had a chin.
I thought the same exact thing.
Yeah, turns out he's the Crimson Chin. I think I joked about it the first time we saw him, but I thought it was a beard, even when I said that.
Herman? There we go. Okay. There we go. Tweet it out. So now people know that there will be dead Fae here. So what I didn't know is when I played this the first time, there were multiple endings in the game. If you investigate incorrectly, you will get bad endings.
Okay, I like that.
So I at least know one route that is no bueno. But let me.
I'm a little bit familiar with our cast. We have the kooky doctor who's into the occult. We have our rich benefactor who's kind of a father figure to us. We have our ex-husband who's a skeptic cop. And our assistant who seems just really chill in general. And professional.
Okay, we have to change the actual. Here we go.
I think the last line that I saw of your playthrough was you going, "I need to talk," and your assistant going, "I'll get a bottle."
Yeah, that was the bad ending. That was the ending in which we lose, where like we didn't convince our detective dude that like we're smart. I think. Okay. Yeah, so where we left off, for those who didn't watch the initial, we are a Faeologist. We study everything Fae related and Fae adjacent. And our ex-husband is a disbeliever, but he got a case that is so weird and outrageous that he brings it to us to look over. And what we pretty much know about the case so far is that there are currently 4 victims, 3 of which are of high society, and they bore a mark on their hand that signifies that they are at least marked by a Fae, I believe of the Sage clan. And each of the 3 of the victims also have an additional finger on them, which signifies that they may not even be human, they may be actually a changeling taken on a human form. So that's 3 women dead with an extra finger and a mark on their hand, signifying they belong to a Fae clan. And then there was a 4th victim who witnessed the 3rd victim, like, right before they died. They went to the police station to, like, confess. It looked like they saw something when they were getting interrogated, left, and next time they were found dead. So that's the current situation we're at right now. So we're trying to get more information out of our poppy Oscar here. Which, if you want to take Oscar,
go right ahead.
What should I ask him? What would he doesn't really know much about the world, so maybe I'll ask about the sigils, just because I think in another time I tried to ask about the changelings and he didn't know anything. Have you ever seen markings like this? I switch on the black light. Does he know about the
occult?
Mainly as much as like that we study it, but not a whole lot. He's more of the nobility informant kind of thing. He knows about noble life. I switch on the black light and show my patron a blue sigil.
No, I never have. What even is this?
A sigil. It may have something to do with occultism.
Then I definitely don't know anything. I don't dabble in such matters.
He falls silent as he continues staring intently. His gaze is not directed at the photograph of the sigil, but at the blacklight tool itself. When I switch it off, he appears as though he's stirring from a dream. How strange. But then again, my patron has always had his quirks.
Oh, what if he's magical and he didn't want you to point that at him because it might reveal something? That's why he was stressed out.
That's got some weight to it. It could very well be possible.
So, what's next?
I wanted to show you something. Please share any knowledge you might have about the evidence.
Sure, I can do that.
Alright. Let's show him what we have. Here is a case file.
You don't expect me to read through all these documents at once, do you? I have to leave soon for our prior engagement. Besides, aren't these case files in the detective's custody? I'd rather not overstep my bounds.
Alright, then how about the pictures of all the victims?
I knew Madame Wooldridge. As you undoubtedly know, her family hosts the city's biggest charity event every year. They tell me the fundraiser will be moving forward despite the tragedy in the family. According to my sources, she loved that event dearly and definitely would have wanted it to proceed.
Did you ever know the victim to dabble in occultist matters?
Involvement in occultism? Knowing this woman as I did, I doubt it. I was familiar with Madame Moore. Through the grapevine, I heard the devastating news of her death. I often interacted with this exceptional woman and her sprightly spouse at high society events. You're getting to know a lot of the victims here, buddy.
Yeah, it seems a bit interesting here, Oscar.
She and her husband were always attached at the hip. 2 peas in a pod.
What about this one? Did you know this woman?
Of course I know her. I killed her.
Listen, do you want to get over this? I killed them, alright? Let me go home.
I did. She was a fine, upstanding lady. She certainly didn't deserve such a gruesome ending. She was known among her peers for her rare coin collection.
Oh, we did find a coin at the crime scene, and this is the final jobber. Are you familiar with this girl?
No, I've never seen her before. Whoever this girl is, I express my sincerest condolences.
Alright, so that's all the baseline. This is a family photograph of the first victim.
We don't have cool rich people anymore.
Would you consider him a cool rich person?
Yeah. I mean, look, he's got the cane, he's got 3 layers on, he's fancy, he's dripped out. And he always goes to these like charity social functions. He's a cool
Yeah.
dude.
I mean, that's pretty much just networking, but it still puts up an effort,
Yeah. I mean, maybe I'm biased against the rich people we currently have, but like I I miss like the middle rich people. People who had like a couple of $1,000, maybe like 8 million. Now we have like 800 billionaires, you know?
Yeah, they don't have the same class to them, They get a bit too
They don't have
loud.
any class.
Exactly.
All the faces here are familiar to me. I must express my deepest sympathies when I see them at the Leo Scala.
When I'm getting crunked on red wine. Can you tell me more about the people in the picture? When I'm sipping on lean, yeah, I'll do a toast to them.
The Woodridges are perhaps the most prominent and powerful family in the city. The victim's father was in the running to be the richest man in the world and decided to devote much of his wealth to lavish charitable endeavors. See, like that, we don't have that anymore.
They would never.
This elder woman is the victim's stepmother, a beautiful socialite for whom the victim's father divorced her biological mother. This younger man is the victim's stepbrother.
Alright. What about this family?
I'm deeply sympathetic to the family's depressing.
Well, what can you tell me about the people in the picture?
I believe this elder couple is the victim's adoptive parents. She got adopted into nobility?
Cha-ching!
I've never met them, but I hear they're wonderful. Biologically, the victim was born to as a so-called miracle baby to the wealthy parents of advanced age.
Well, from what information I have, they're not even human, the victims, so I don't think there was a miracle involved here. I think there might have been a bit more.
The changeling?
Yeah.
When they passed away, she had no other family members by blood. She was thus adopted by a middle-class couple who were trusted employees of her biological parents, or so I've heard. Upon coming of age, she received her sizable inheritance and wedded a recently rich entrepreneur of humble origin. This is her widower in the photograph. He's said to be extremely close to his parents-in-law.
It's the gala.
I attend the Leo's Gala every year.
And this is the coin.
What does this coin have to do with the case?
I'm not sure. None of the case files mention it.
Perhaps this coin was found at the crime scene of Madame Niblet.
Niblet?
That's her name? She was a known rare coin collector.
You might be right.
Have you attempted using the blacklight on it?
The blacklight? Why?
Just try looking at the coin beneath the blacklight. It can't hurt. Yeah, he definitely knows more than he's letting on. Even if you've tried it once or twice, try it again.
Yeah, we didn't really... I think we got like a minor thing from it, but nothing crazy.
I know nothing about makeup. Except that you look beautiful both with and without it.
Oh, Oscar!
Calm down.
Oscar!
Relax.
Oscar.
He's a charmer, but he's got to turn it down a little notch.
I'm solving
You're
a
old enough
case
to be
here.
my dad. It's like London and
In Riot.
Jess.
Yeah. Or Jess, yeah. But Jess is into it, though. She's the aggressor there.
I know nothing about how to analyze biological samples.
Unless they're your biological samples.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Grandpa.
Calm
Relax.
down there. Wait, what is this one? Oh, lab report. Do you know how to read this one? No. Anything else? No, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. Thank you.
See ya.
I have no further questions.
That's pretty much it.
I believe I have enough information for now.
Already? I'm aware your academic curiosity knows no bounds.
Earlier you mentioned you had a
Earlier,
prior arrangement, so I won't keep you any longer. Thank you for your time. You've been incredibly helpful.
I'm delighted I could be of assistance. Reach out to me if you need anything else. I'll see you soon, yes?
Yes, definitely. Mr. Hank will leave my office. I'm alone again, but not for long. My assistant pops into the office. Professor, I'm heading home soon. Do you have any last-minute tasks for me? No, I'll be perfectly fine. I think I'll stay and work for a bit longer. Alright, see you tomorrow, Professor. And have a safe trip home. Upon wishing me the same, Minnie leaves. I have some time
Am I
to...
stupid?
What's up?
I think Minerva is the Roman version of Athena, I want to say?
Yes. Yeah, I think you're right. Minerva is, the Athena equivalent. Wait, is Minerva Persephone?
I don't know. Let me
Well,
check.
Persephone's not really a god, so that might just be Greek, but I forget exactly.
Technically she is, but she's not a major god with a domain or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's the Roman goddess of wisdom, justice, law, victory. Yeah, she's Athena.
Okay. I have some time until I have to wrap up my workday and head home. Alright, so let's look over our evidence again, just to catch anyone up who wasn't here. My tools, my handy dandy.
Yeah, so the gods of Olympus all have like major domains and they all like directly meddle in the lives of people, but there are a lot of minor gods that don't really have domains that are just kind of immortal things.
You're just chilling.
Yeah.
Read the case file again? Oh, I guess I can just always look at the... Audrey Wooldridge, age 51, manner of death, hardening into bony tissue. From afar, the corpse looked like a carved wooden statue.
Christ.
Victim's profile, an affluent middle-aged woman in the city. Police report, the victim reported hearing strange noises and seeing strange phenomena in the days immediately preceding her death. The interviewing officer suspected, due to the victim's strange behavior, involvement in occult matters. And then here's a picture of her. This is the crime scene of the first victim.
God.
Ossification as a cause of death isn't something you see every day. When I asked Mr.
I do
Hankel,
know that word.
It's scary to know that word, because I feel like it shouldn't be something that's said often, you know? You shouldn't just get boned every now and then.
Yeah, I only know it because it's a magic card. Ossify.
You bone people?
Yeah. You turn people into bone, it's a board wipe.
I'd fucking hope so. When I asked Mr. Henkel if this victim had been involved in occultism, he denied knowing anything about that. And on her hand, there is a... I should follow up with Dr. Rayford regarding her consultation with the sigil expert. So there is
Excuse me. Calcify is the board wipe. Ossify is single target.
Yeah, so there's like a blue marking on her hand, and so I did a little bit of research to try and see what that would be. This appears to be more of the... I think of the scribe variety, since it's blue. Is blue?
There's blue.
There seems to be three tribes. There's the scribes, the warriors, and the parasitic. The scribes are pretty friendly with humans for the most part. Warriors hate humans, and parasites are kind of the weakest of the bunch in the middle. And they kind of just like don't like fuck with things.
Vampires.
They're the ones that become changelings, things like that. They usually get taken over by other high fae. Let's see. Yeah, scribe magic appears blue, so that appears to be blue scribe juice on marked on their hand.
Ew. They scribed on them.
Miss Scriber, baby. Let's see. Yeah, they hate each other also. A changeling is composed of several fae, typically of the parasitic type. Since parasites are regarded by their fellow fae as weak, magically transformed to look almost exactly like an abducted human. Due to the complexity of fae magic required to create a changeling, the enchantment almost always goes awry. Anomalies common among changelings include an extra finger or an extra toe.
Hmm. Yeah, changelings have some sort of hue, like extra digits.
So that's a little brief overview of that. Let me move on to the second victim here. This was Susan Moore, age 40. So these are all pretty older women. Her manner of death was refusing to drink anything but her own blood. An affluent middle-aged woman in the city. The victim's mother reported that the victim was suffering from a prolonged paranoid episode in the days leading to her death. Specifically, the victim was acting erratically and was saying strange things.
So that sounds parasitic, right? Because the parasitic Fae are a blood drinker, right?
It is, yes. So that's why, like, the argument for her being a changeling is stronger, to have that urge to want to drink blood. This is the crime scene of the second victim. She looks severely dehydrated. Mr. Hankel said this woman was inseparable from her husband. You and I were like that too in the early days. Husband. And then she is also marked. Sigil glowing blue, scribe magic.
I know scribes mark people, but does it ever say why?
It's like a blessing. It's also like, this is our territory, don't fuck with this human. It's like a warning almost. The crime was known as the victim has an extra finger on her left hand. And not lastly, this is another one. This is the crime scene of the third victim. This has to be one of the most macabre scenes I've ever seen. According to Mr. Hankel, this woman was a rare coin collector. And she as well.
Oh my god. She had her fingers deblooded.
Edna Niblet, 64 years old.
Gnawing her own fingers down to the bone. Oh, yeah. I hate to even think about that.
A friend of the victim reported that she visited the victim's residence to drop off an invitation shortly prior to her victim's death. The victim also wanted to check on the victim's well-being, as she had allegedly been acting strangely at the party the night before. According to the friend, she witnessed an emotionally charged conversation between the victim and a young factory girl. However, the friend didn't think much of the interaction at the time. At the crime scene, the invitation card dropped off by the friend was seen but close to the victim's corpse and was taken in as evidence. Nasty business. But she is a rare coin collector, so I think the coin we found is hers. And this is the last girl. 19 years old. Manner of death seemingly poisoned. A young factory girl. Despite not fitting the trend of the previous victim's profile, she has been preliminarily included in this case because she was seen having a heated conversation with the third victim shortly prior to the victim's death. The victim's father described her as not acting like herself in the days before she passed. Shortly before her death, the victim visited the police station. According to the interviewing officer, she seemed to be on the brink of confessing something when a look of terror suddenly crossed her face. She then appeared to change her mind, and she hurriedly left the station without saying anything further to the interviewing officer.
Yeah, we think that she's seeing something, right?
Yeah. This is the crime scene of the fourth victim. She looks young. Mr. Hankel didn't know her at all. And then she has no mark on her, and her hand is normal. So she seems separated. So this middle-aged woman in the collared blouse is the victim. The elder man in the suit must be her biological father. Thus, this elder woman wearing the cardigan must be her stepmother. This bespectacled man must be her stepbrother. And a little look over here. The victim and her biological father both possess blue sigils. The blue color signifies scribe magic. The victim's stepmother and stepbrother have no sigils. There may be a topic in the encyclopedia that covers this phenomena. Yeah, these two who are related are under protection. I don't know if the father is also a changeling, but
it could mean that they're Fae. It also could mean that they're just people who have made deals or have had dealings with Fae.
Yeah. So this middle-aged woman with the pearls is the victim. The elder man with facial hair must be her adoptive father. This elder woman with the fur collar must be her adoptive mother. The other man in the darker suit must be her husband. He's supposedly close to his in-laws. And I think she's the only one marked. The victim is the only person in the family with a blue sigil. The victim's adoptive parents have no sigils, neither does the husband. There may be a topic in the encyclopedia. This is the gala list. My patron invited me to the event. I'm still uncertain if I want to attend. According to the third case file, the invitation card was seen close to Edna Niblet's corpse. That did nothing. No mark on it at all. That's good. Let's send this back. Here's the coin. A coin. It looks rare. The coin has significant traces of parasitic magic. The prominent violet color shows that. There are also traces of warrior magic, as indicated by the red coloration. Mr. Henkel encouraged me to examine the coin using a black light. Positively insisted upon it. I wonder if this random coin will truly yield any answers. My mind's still full of questions. This case involves so many moving parts. I still feel like I'm missing something crucial. But what
knowing
can it
that
be?
knowing that magic was cast doesn't really tell us anything if we don't really know what that means, you know?
Yeah. Well, I think for this it might just be like actual, like, kind of like ectoplasm. Like they just kind of leave behind a trace of themselves. They don't need to actually cast anything specific on it. In the silence of my office, I contemplate. Mentally, I go over all the pages I've reviewed in my Fae encyclopedia. I recall every piece of evidence and its potential significance to the case. Minutes pass. Then I realize that my hands are becoming unpleasantly warm due to the prolonged exposure to the black light. I'm about to switch off the light and return the coin to the box. Then something strange suddenly occurs. What? This is new to me.
Uh-huh.
Whoa, whoa, whoa!
Oh!
Wait, how did this happen? Did the heat from the blacklight trigger the transformation? Now that I'm thinking about it, the encyclopedia sort of touched upon this. The section on changelings mentioned something about heat conductors being known to warp the magic used for changeling enchantment. The motionless creature before me appeared to be deceased. Murmuring to myself, I leaned in to study it closely. How did you pass away, poor Fae? Of course, no response is forthcoming. Well, this is new. Look at you. One of the wings of this dead parasitic Fae have been ripped out. This forcible detachment likely occurred ante-mortem. I checked the Fae's vital sign. we can save him.
I think he's dead.
I can confirm the parasitic Fae is deceased, just as I suspected. Based on the level of decomposition, I estimate that the Fae died at the time of the changeling enchantment, or shortly afterwards. In that case, the after effects of the enchantment going awry might have been the cause of death. The Fae is clearly of parasitic type. The prevalent violet beneath the blacklight reinforces that. Like the coin, there are also traces of warrior magic, as shown by the red dappling. What can I glean from this all, I wonder? Does this mean the culprit is a member of the warrior Fae? Perhaps this parasitic Fae was used as a part of a changeling enchantment, presumably cast by warrior Fae in connection with the third victim. The enchantment, which involves especially complex magic, might have gone awry, especially given the presence of heat conductors nearby. This heat conductor was, of course, the coin in the victim's possession at the time. Due to the anomaly, the parasite might have been duplicated into a coin instead of morphing into a human. This is a possible theory, isn't it? I'm beginning to see everything more clearly now. Unlucky.
So the parasitic Fae, who was supposed to become a changeling of the person that the enchantment was cast upon, instead became the coin in her pocket?
It seems to be the case. But this lady still does have an extra finger on her hand. Odd. Dead Fae. Keep on a searching. It's makeup, plain old makeup. The brand is Nectar Bell. Did nothing. This is a hair sample from the third victim. Dr. Rayford reports contain an analysis on it. This hair was taken from the third crime scene. The coloration beneath the blacklight is prominent purple and somewhat red. This means it displays a strong trace of parasitic magic, plus weaker traces of warrior magic. Alright, so that proves they were involved in that. Hair sample 2. This is the hair sample from the fourth victim. Dr. Rayford reports claim contains an analysis on it. This hair was taken from the fourth crime scene. No traces of Fae magic here. Yeah, so that lady is clean. And here's the lab report. Nothing. This is Dr. Rayford's lab report on the hair samples. According to her analysis, the hair sample from the third victim is genetically Fae. Meanwhile, the hair sample from the fourth victim is genetically human. Wait, is that it? The information in the report, while useful, is scant. Dr. Rayford told me this contained a detailed analysis. I'm beginning to remember why I never liked her all that much. She'd much rather mess around with her seances and occult interest than do her job properly and thoroughly. Damn. But I do think that is everything. So I'll end up the day for now and report our findings to our husband. Or ex-husband. The ex.
Tony? Is that his name?
Tony Two Tits, yeah. It's the next afternoon. I should be grading assignments, or reviewing the lecture I'm going to deliver in the morning, or do anything productive in the realm of professional duties. Instead, I find my attention straying more and more towards the office door. I voice my frustrations to good old Oz. Theo will probably arrive at any moment. What do you think, Oz? Be Oz if you'd like. How is Theo going to respond to my findings? Am I going to astound him, disappoint him? My voice cracks with concern. My fairy companion Chirping's response is on the edge of chastisement.
Get yourself together.
Lock the fuck in. I do like the direction that the art team went in with making more insect-like Fae. More of like the traditional.
I respect the choice.
Mm-hmm.
I personally don't like it.
Why do you say that?
Bugs freak me out.
I mean, that's because that dude has like a whole ass face, and then it has like the butterfly parts on his side. Like, it's freaky, but like a face should freak you out.
It definitely like adds to the Fae are otherworldly. They don't necessarily obey our rules, sort of vibe, which is great for this sort of game. Like, to assume that we understand them is a foolish assumption.
But Bug's icky.
Yeah, it icks me a little bit, but that's just a personal thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think it does its job, though. I think it's supposed to freak you out. It's supposed to make you go, "What are you?"
Yeah, these things are not like any stretch of human.
It's like the Adam Sandler Spider movie.
What? I don't remember that.
Do you not know about that movie?
No, what's it called?
I don't. I've only seen like little clips of it on YouTube Shorts. It's like Adam Sandler gets like launched into space or something, not as himself, like as a character, not as just Adam Sandler. And just at some point during his voyage, he just walks into like his cabin, and there's this giant spider in like his kitchen, and it's like an alien life form, and it just talks to him, and they just kind of become bros as they float through space together.
Oh, that sounds cool.
It's a very. I want to watch it. It looks funny. It looks good. It's not like jokey like how Adam Sandler movies usually are. It's played pretty straight.
What are you talking about? 8 Crazy Nights was a very serious movie.
Bum beady 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 bum bum.
That scene is so surreal, and I can't even pinpoint
the entire
why.
fucking movie is surreal. It's 8 Crazy Nights. That shit's like made in a lab to hurt you.
You must remain steadfast and strong when facing the detective.
I guess she's homeless.
Don't permit your voice to falter when presenting your findings.
I know I can't let myself unravel at this point. It's just that I've never done this before. In the past, Theo may have let the details of his cases drop now and again, but he's never solicited my scientific opinion quite in this manner. What if he completely discredits my efforts?
All the more reason to be as calm and cool as you can be. Maintaining your composure is essential to delivering a persuasive argument. If he chooses to discount your theory, at least you know you tried. At the end of the day, he's the one who needs to solve this case.
You're right, of course you are. I'm not a detective, I'm simply a professor sharing my perspective. Thank you, Oz, for always talking me off the ledge. Oh, he's here. Just then someone knocks on the door.
That's my cue to sail past your window ledge. Best of luck.
I whisper a hurried goodbye to my fairy friend. I'll see you tonight, Oz. Once Oz has flown out, I direct my attention towards the door. Come on in. My assistant marches in. She swings the door shut behind her. Professor, you have a visitor. The detective, isn't it? Been expecting him all afternoon. He's here to pick up the evidence he left. If you'd rather not deal with him, just say the word. I can hand him his box and send him on his merry way. That's alright, I do need to talk to him. Not going to storm off like he did yesterday, I mean. Probably.
In another timeline, he did.
Like a bitch. Please send him in, Minnie. With some hesitation, my assistant nods. She then walks out. You can be a Theo.
There you are. So what's the magic word?
Magic word?
What do I have to say to make the troll guarding your door go away? Did you hire her specifically to mimic the monsters in those fairy stories people like to read? What do you mean, you people?
You people?
That assistant of yours is certainly as tough as nails with your visitors.
Don't talk about her like that. Besides, she's not difficult at all with visitors other than you. She lets Mr. Hankel waltz into my office whenever he wants. But that might be because he plies her with pastries.
Is that what I need to do next time? It wouldn't hurt. Bring some bread for her to break instead of breaking my balls.
My balls.
My nuts.
What you need to do is apologize. You were rude to me last time you were here. There's a pause as he stews over the words. I'm guessing he's about to double down. That he catches me off guard.
I'm sorry. I was being a buffoon yesterday.
Being a buffoon?
I acknowledge that. You didn't deserve any of that.
I appreciate the apology. It can't hurt to apologize to my assistant as well later. Your foul mouth and furious demeanor disrupted her workday. And refer to her by her name, Minerva Aldwin, rather than calling her a troll.
I'll do that.
So you're here to get back your box, aren't you? Box. Here it is. He eyes the box on my desk.
You looked through the evidence, didn't you?
I did. I looked as extensively as I could, given the limited time frame. As much as I was tempted to your own devices in this investigation, I resisted.
So what have you learned?
I take a deep breath. Here goes. I have to present my findings to perhaps the most sought-after detective in the police force. Theo investigates cases right where the crime scenes unfolded. He's agonizingly familiar with the grit and grime of the city's darkest recesses. So what have you learned? Absolutely nothing. Exactly, Zalius. That's what we do here. Honestly, I'm a little bit confused, because we opened up that, I didn't know the fucking coin was going to turn into a Fae. That caught me off guard. It's kind of cool, though. I like that how you investigate things differently can lead to different outcomes in the investigation. That's a neat idea.
Yeah.
I didn't expect, a giant bug to end up on my desk, though. That was traumatizing.
A bug?
Oh, a rat! I feel like if I lived in a world with Fae, I think I would just die. I think I would be instantly killed.
Yeah.
I feel like I would just lose. I'd just get my entire, soul ripped out of my body and put into, a plant or something.
Yeah, they would just go abracablam, and suddenly you're a plant, or a frog, or your shoelaces are tied together and you can never untie them.
That'd be really rough, honestly. Could you imagine that? You get, cursed with the most, inconvenient shit where you, you're constantly in shoes and they can never be untied, and they're, tied together.
Yeah, you just have to get used to hopping around.
That's just the fucking spray-on shoes from Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. But yeah, Zaylee, this is Death and Faeology. This is a Fae investigation game taking place during the 1920s. They just have the demo out right now, but it's very, very hands-on and tactile with how you investigate. You get your hands personally on everything, look through everything. I have to say, I'm a little bit from what I've seen, a little bit disappointed. There's not a whole lot of a lot of it is you finding the evidence, but you don't get to present it yourself in an order you'd like. They kind of just lay out everything you did find at the end, which I would prefer a little bit more, but I guess I haven't finished the demo. Maybe they're going to change that, maybe they're not. I'm not entirely sure. But let me keep going with this for now. Meanwhile, as a professor, my expertise primarily revolves around the nebulous and theoretical. I must do my best to stay calm and collected, just as Oz suggested. You're always playing such interesting games. It's not by choice, it's by desperation.
He's got a hunger that only mystery games can satisfy, and they can only make them so fast.
There is no charm in any game that I find. I'm a wild animal looking for scraps in the Steam recommended pages. I am. You work faster, kitty. Games. Make that mystery game faster. I go on Steam, I put on the mystery tag, and I scroll through until I see something that's not porn, and then I click on it, and that's my process. Tell my boyfriend to help you. Listen, he may be my boyfriend, but he's your husband, so you have chain of command.
Yeah, she does supersede you. I'm sorry to say.
That's okay. No, I know where I am in this company.
She's your commanding officer, and you're mine.
I don't know about that. I think I'm like a subdivision. I think I'm on a different floor, you know? I may kidnap you sometimes, but ultimately you gotta go back to Central HQ. But, it's a problem. I'm always looking for good mystery games, and sometimes I find something really funny, sometimes I find something really good. It's a fun dumpster dive that I feel like I lose most of the time, but there's also some good, interesting gems like this here.
Yeah, this game is very in-depth. The world building is very nice. It's not quite gripping me because I'm not very into the Feywild, the Fey stuff.
How are you not? I figured that would be right up your alley.
I don't know. They're not cool enough.
What is your preferred extra plane?
I'm a big fan of the Beastlands.
Oh, so you like monsters? I was gonna say you like dudes. You like proper beasts.
The Beastlands is basically Narnia. It's like kind of Feywildy, where there's no such thing as animal intelligence. Everything there can talk and speak, and everything's an animal. So it's very Feywild-esque. Mechanist is also fun. The Nine Hells. I haven't done a whole lot of reading on the canon D&D realms. Personally, my favorite type of magical creature is elementals. I think elementals are criminally under developed.
I agree. I don't think they get enough love. That's why I'm always so insistent to introduce them into my campaign in some way. I do love having my little funny wind people.
In the setting I'm building, all of the immortals pretty much came together to make the planet, and the elementals, if you ask them, are pulling the most doing the most legwork, keeping everything alive.
Mm-hmm.
And they are not happy about it because the gods reap most of the reward.
I'm always curious about the extraplanar stuff. I like looking into them. They've been a very good source of inspiration for me over the years. I find them fascinating. But yeah, Zalius, listen, because of this encyclopedic knowledge I have of mystery games, you ever need a good recommendation, you let me know. I will pull out the list of random mystery visual novels or mystery games in general. We just got finished with a fun point and click called Locomotive today. That was a lot of fun. I think it's a very silly game.
It's very goofy. Herman Merman
is gonna make you squirmin'.
Whoa.
That's what he did, though. He squirmed that German. Or that he squirmed that German. I mean, not the German was murmuring.
Yeah.
First off, just like yesterday, I'm still suspecting fairy involvement in the case.
I'm not surprised.
Why'd you come to me then if you didn't want me to look at the assume it was fairy?
Yeah, I mean, clearly you suspect fairy involvement too, or I wouldn't have this evidence in the first place, now would I?
Look at that.
I didn't think you'd change your tune so quickly. But what's your evidence for that assertion?
The cause of death of the first 3 victims, as listed in the case files, point towards fairy involvement. Who just hardens into bony tissue out of nowhere? No.
I'm known to do that.
What if he just did that right in front of us? No scientific phenomena that I know can achieve that. But the Fae with their transfiguration magic are certainly capable.
Or so you say.
I press on despite Theo's skeptical tone. Who in their right mind would drink their own blood? Or gnaw at their own fingers down to the bone? Some high Fae possess fearsome powers of suggestion. Their hypnotic spells can make mere humans act against their own interest and endanger their own lives.
Are you saying the Fae controlled these victims' minds?
I'm saying it is possible. The police reports in the case files also support my theory of Fae involvement. There's evidence that the victims were behaving oddly in the days leading to their death.
Oddly? How so?
Did you, not even read your own case file? Did you just, I'll dump it on the professor. The first victim reported to the police that she had been seeing and hearing strange things. The officer interviewing her said outright that she had been behaving strangely. The second victim had been experiencing a bout of paranoia, according to her mother. The third and fourth victim, whose cases appear intertwined, were spotted having a heated conversation. The fourth victim later went to the police station, but before she could report anything, she seemed to see something that scared her away. What could she have seen to frighten her so? Isn't it possible that she witnessed something of the Fae, or even the Fae themselves? Or perhaps the Fae were hovering around the victims in the days leading to their death. The peculiarities exhibited by the apparent paranoid delusions experienced by the victims could very well stem from the brushes with the Fae. When unaccustomed to magic and other unexplainable phenomena, some minds can bend. These minds can bend so far that they break entirely.
Listen, you're making a lot of assumptions here. I've yet to see definitive proof of fairy involvement. Can't you give me something more concrete? Why don't you show me how the evidence supports your theory?
Well, we got a dead-ass Fae in your box right now. We got a whole-ass corpse in there. I take a crime scene photograph from the box of evidence. I place my magnifying glass over the middle-aged victim's left hand. Look, she has an extra finger. You gonna go to bed? Alright, no problem, kitty. Get some sleep. Get to work on the game. That's a known sign that of a changeling is involved. I'm suspecting this victim isn't human at all. Rather, this victim is Fae, a changeling to be specific. Do you know what changelings are?
Sort of. I mean, my mother read me fairy stories when I was a child. A couple of the stories featured changelings. Their Fae transformed to look human and left in place of an abducted human, right?
Well, essentially, yes.
But how does an extra finger signify that this is a changeling?
The creation of a changeling involves especially complicated magic. Several parasitic Fae at a time must be transformed into a single human. The complexity of the enchantment often leads to anomalies such as extra digits. So when you continue investigating this case, just keep an eye out for extra fingers or toes.
Got it.
Yeah, check out them toes. I slot a crime scene photograph beneath the blacklight to show the sigil. Can you see the blue sigil in the victim's left hand? Theo's eyes widen at the sight.
Yes, I can see it.
The sigil is usually invisible to the naked human eye. However, this blacklight of mine, which sees traces of fairy magic, can detect it.
But what exactly is it?
This sigil is a sign of being blessed by one of the scribe Fae.
Scribe Fae?
Well, scribes are a class of high Fae known to be cordial with mankind. When a person has done a boon for a scribe, they can be marked with a sigil. The sigil gives good fortune. It also is meant as a warning for others not to harm the marked human.
I guess that warning didn't work in this case, did it?
No, it did not. Next, I slide the 2 family photographs and the evidence beneath the blacklight. The descendants of scribe-marked humans inherit their sigils. Lurk making food, you make your food. You do whatever you need to. You were streaming before. You get yourself some nice rest. Thank you for stopping by, though, Zale. This food, the good fortune of the ancestor, passes down the bloodline. Those born into old rich families likely possess sigils. These family photos support the phenomena. Theo watches as I point at the faces in the picture. In the family of the first victim, only she and her father are marked. This father is the patriarch of the city's wealthiest family. Thus, it makes perfect sense that he possesses a vigil, which he then passed on to his daughter. The victim's stepmother and her stepbrother are not marked.
How about this other family?
In the family of the second victim, she's the only one marked. She must have inherited her sigil from her biological parents who were wealthy. When those parents died, this couple in the photo adopted her. Her adoptive parents are middle class. Naturally, they have no sigils. This other man in the picture is the victim's husband. While wealthy, he's not one of the old rich. He's a newly rich entrepreneur.
That's why he has no sigil either.
Exactly. I show Theo the hair sample from the third victim. I analyze this beneath my black light that detects fairy traces. The sample gleamed purple and red underneath the ultraviolet light.
So what's that supposed to mean?
Red is the color for warriors, a faction of high fae hostile to humans. Purple, on the other hand, is for parasites, a comparably weaker species.
I still don't know what any of this means.
I still got no clue what that fucking means. It's important.
What are you talking about?
You're not even making any sense anymore. It's important to note that parasites and warriors are two different types of fae. That's overwhelming evidence that fae were involved in the case. I show Theo the lab report proved by the chemist. I asked Dr. Rayford to analyze the biological samples and the evidence.
What did her analysis reveal?
Her hair sample from the third victim is genetically fae.
Is that so? How about the hair sample from the fourth victim?
Genetically human. Still, one of two samples showing fairy traces is damning, isn't it?
If you accept what that kooky chemist says as fact, then it would be, I suppose.
Now prepare yourself for what I'm about to show you. This is the smoking gun of all evidence.
What is it? This is what you didn't have in the bad ending.
Yeah. This once was a rare coin in your box. In the course of my investigation, I suddenly morphed it into something else.
Go on, show me.
I reveal the deceased parasitic fae. Theo simply stares slack-jawed for a long moment. His voice is raspy when he finally ventures to speak.
What in the world is that?
It's a parasite, a relatively weak species of fae. Face to face with magic like this, can you no longer deny its existence?
You mentioned this was once the coin in the box. But why did the coin transform into this thing? How?
Here's my theory in light of all the evidence we've discussed so far. You ready to hear it?
As ready as I'll ever be.
First, let's cover the culprit.
Hang on. You know who did it?
Not exactly the identity, but I do have a general idea.
So who's the culprit? You.
It'd have to be Warrior Clan.
Yeah.
The series of apparent slayings is actually the series of abductions led by the Warrior Fae. The red traces of warrior magic are all over the evidence. After taking the women they wanted, the warriors had to cover up the abductions. They left changelings composed of parasitic fae in the place of the abducted women. They then killed the changelings to ensure that they wouldn't divulge the truth. So the crime involved here is fae-on-fae murder. So every case we have here is, except the final one, is an example of they killed and replaced them with a changeling. Yeah.
So the last lady wasn't replaced, but she was killed, probably because she knew something in that argument.
Most likely, yeah.
Wait, let's go back for a bit. You're saying the women were abducted, not slain. Are you suggesting the women are still alive somewhere?
They may be. I can't be certain. In any case, the bodies found were not the middle-aged women that they appeared to be. Next, let's address the motive for the abductions.
What's the motive?
Fight for the scribes. These are all scribe bodies, so...
Yeah.
The warriors' targets were those who have inherited scribe-made sigils. Sigils are tied to all the benefits of being positively fae-touched through generations. You see, the warriors and the scribes are high fae factions that have historically been in conflict. The warriors likely selected these targets precisely because of how special they were to the scribes. There is, however, one outlier among the victims.
Who do you think is an outlier?
Final victim.
Yeah, she's not a Fae.
She's nothing, yeah. The factory girl is the outlier.
Yes, I think so too. She doesn't match the profile of the other victims. Plus, her manner of death was not as peculiar as the others.
Indeed. Based on my analysis, she was the sole victim who lacked a sigil and died as a human. But I do think she may be linked inextricably to the case as a whole. She might have been killed because she knew something that she shouldn't have about the previous victim. The third victim, to be precise. These two victims were seen conversing, after all. There is one last thing I must add. It's something I noticed about the facts of the case.
What is it?
I might have led by saying that Faye perpetrated the abductions, but I don't believe that's the full story. Something about this case makes me feel like it still retains the element of human evil. The evidence points towards a possibility of human involvement considering the consistency and volume of the crimes. But you're more well-versed than I'll be with the depths of human evil, I'm sure.
Don't I know it?
He heaves a sigh so heavy I can believe he has the weight of the city on his shoulders. Even so, when he looks at me, there's a glint of something that wasn't there before. This fleck of illumination is all the more stark since evening has fallen since we've started the discussion. It's hope, perhaps. A tiny delicate thing is blooming in the room to counteract the overwhelming darkness and despair outside.
So this is your working theory.
This is all I have. Take it or leave it.
I think I'll take it, thanks. I always knew you were clever. But you blew me away completely today. This deductive journey on which you've taken me is on another level. This is a different tune.
Yeah.
Thank you for being you.
Thank you for being so dumb. He just turns into a Fae in front of us. Fuck.
Thank you for being so dumb.
I do certainly prefer this to being called a stinky poo-poo head and then leave the room and then we get drunk on red wine. Oh,
you believe in fairies? You're so stupid.
Oliver's here.
Oliver. I thought he was dead. I thought we weren't supposed to talk to him.
You talking
about him
again?
again.
It's just Oliver. He's here. Everyone say hi. Oliver the cat is here. He's in my room right now. He's on my lap.
Hello.
Cold. Very cold right now.
You still chilly?
Yeah. Well, he went in, but he climbed in again. I don't know who let him out again, but he's here and he's shaking like a leaf in my arms right now. But I'm keeping him nice and warm. He's nice and warm right now. He's doing a-okay. The cat's gonna be alright. But I do have to kill him. So, unfortunate. Everyone say goodbye to Oliver. Bye-bye, Oliver.
Goodbye forever.
Alright. I want no other mention of Oliver the cat in chat. Nothing else. He's dead. He's never coming back. You're welcome.
Honestly, from the beginning, I had an inkling something was off about this case.
Yeah, was it seeing someone turn into bone? Did that have something to do with it, maybe? Was it just a comment? Because this is like 1920s is supposed to be the time frame for this.
The other two could have
happened.
It could have been just someone who is deeply disturbed mentally.
Yeah.
Like gnawing on your own fingers and refusing to eat anything.
But someone getting turned into complete bone. That doesn't seem like suboptimal in my opinion. I personally wouldn't have done that.
I simply would have intervened. As much as I wanted to disavow the existence of the supernatural, so many elements transcended the natural. Stubbornly, a part of me remained in denial. My mind couldn't handle that magic might exist, just as you've been trying to tell me all along. Yesterday afternoon, I was walking around the streets. People I wanted to get lost. Perhaps I wanted to get lost. I'm just blind.
A chance.
I wanted to get lost so that the physical world around me would reflect my internal landscape. However, before I knew it, I was standing outside your office. I was desperate, perhaps, but I marched right in. Desperation be damned. I was hoping, I think, that you could save me. I was praying to deities that didn't exist, that you could help me make sense of the world again.
I started praying to whoever was out there.
Whoever's listening.
Faye my shit. Are you still grateful you knocked on the door?
Now more than ever. This case that I always saw as uncrackable might actually be cracked.
I'm cracked?
I knew you were going to say that. I finally have something to celebrate since being assigned to this case. We should have drinks together, don't you think?
I'll have to decline.
You don't feel like celebrating with me?
Not tonight.
That's too bad. I was hoping I could keep picking that enormous brain of yours around.
Don't worry. If you need Fae-related advice down the line, you can return to my office anytime. For now, though, I have to finish some work.
All right. I'd better get going then. I'll be sure to take care of yourself.
Same goes for you. The detective leaves. I get back to work. I finish grading the remaining assignments. When that's over, I summon my assistant to my office. Do you need anything, Professor? I'm in a celebratory mood. Do you want to have a drink with me? Why not? It's a Friday. What are we celebrating? A good day's work for you and for me. Look at that. A good day's work.
Hell yeah.
Look at us.
Good ending.
Who would have thought? It's another afternoon in the office. My patron has stopped by to discuss a research project that I've been considering. It's so important for me to embark on an initiative that will thrill me body and soul. I need a project to keep me on my toes.
Of course. I've always admired your passion.
Whoa, what's going on? Before I can respond, two individuals suddenly barge into my office.
We have to talk.
Sorry, I tried to stop him but couldn't. That's okay, Minnie. You can let me handle this. If you say so, Professor. Minnie directs a foul look in Theo's direction as she goes. What's troubling you, Theo? Tell me. He doesn't so much as glance at Mr. Hankel.
It's been a long morning for me. I thought it would never end. You haven't read today's newspapers, have you?
No, I've been busy with lectures at campus all morning. I don't mention that Minnie stopped our subscription to the dailies for an embarrassing reason. I glance at my patron, who's still very wholly ignored. Mr. Hankel stays silent, only looking intently at Theo. Theo unfurls a rolled-up newspaper from the inner pocket of his coat and hands it to me. Oh. Oh no. Media has caught wind of a changeling case in the front-page story. As I begin reading, my patron peers over my shoulder to read as well. The story announces that another murder has been committed. The fifth victim's manner of death apparently involved dancing until collapse. Of course, the reporter excessively sensationalizes an already sensational manner of death. In my line of work, I'm no stranger to criminal cases.
Criminal case?
Criminal case, my favorite game! But reading the excessively grisly details of this particular crime makes my heart sink and my stomach churn. Once I'm done, I hand the newspaper back to the detective. Continuing to hold the paper makes me feel dirty somehow. But even freed from it, I can't rid myself of the nauseating feeling.
I've already checked the crime scene. The details of this latest incident line up perfectly with your deduction. Thus, I've verified that your theory from last time was accurate. Thanks again for your invaluable assistance in this case.
I'm glad I could help. Situation's spinning rapidly out of control, isn't it?
Indeed. I'm determined to end it as soon as possible. But, what are the next steps here?
Yeah, what do you do about this? Do you fight the Fae? Do you cuff them?
Yeah, I really don't know what your we know who did it, sure, what do we do about that?
Well, because I'm of the opinion in this world, if there are people who just outright don't believe Fae exist, then there's surely nothing in place to, combat them, right? If it's even a question still?
So what does this guy just go to the police commissioner and go, well, the Fae did it, sir?
Well, it's the 1920s. You tell them the Fae did a crime, they might be like, oh, well, yeah, lock him up.
Go get him.
Kill that man.
In fact, I'm heading out to look at the crime scene again. Are we going to get an investigation?
I wonder, yeah.
There are a few things I've been meaning to check.
Your lips. Mwah. You want some company? Smile spread slowly over his exhausted face.
That's all I've ever wanted, really.
Well, you should have treated me better then.
Yeah.
There we go.
Okay.
So I think the full game is you just probably investigating this string of homicides.
Serial killings. Yeah.
But I think this really does have some promise.
I'm vibing with it. I think it's a little limited in the ways that you interact with the magic. Like, magic has been done here. Like, I wish they would go into a little more detail. You know,
like because I think this game's been a little bit different from just a solve it game as well. This also appears to be a bit of a dating sim as well, with a couple of the from what I've seen of them discussing the game. This does seem to have some more traditional visual novel aspects to it, but from a mystery point of view, I certainly do want some more interactivity and deducing on my own. I do feel like having it just sort of handed to me is a little bit too much. Like, this might benefit from like a wrap-up part of the case where you kind of put words together on like how the crime was committed, you know, like how Grimoire does the like fill in the blank thing. I think it could definitely benefit from a little bit more of a more traditional mystery game presentation system where you have more of an active part in presenting the crime and laying out what happened. But that might not be the type of game they're going for exactly, but that is what I would want in a game like this.
Yeah.
What else is there? I do think it can be a bit wordy too, and that might be like, oh, it's a visual novel, there's gonna be words in it, but I did feel a couple of lines were a little bit too over-explanatory and unnecessary, where you could have used one line and got a good word out of it, or a line that didn't really push the conversation forward, where Theo is pretty much saying yeah, and then you continue explaining. I
think this is a bit of a nitpick, but I think a couple of Theo's lines were kind of out of character for the character that it felt like they were trying to establish for him. Because he would be like really dismissive and gruff and simplistic and hard-hitting, like all the like noir detective like good hits. And then he would like wax really poetic, like saying that I was praying to whatever god that would listen.
I don't think that's. I mean, that just might be his character, though. Just because he is the noir detective doesn't mean that he can only be that.
Yeah, I guess I'm kind of putting him in a box, but it just felt a little contrary to the.
It was a very grand statement for someone we don't know much about. I feel like, for sure.
Yeah.
I just think, I think a couple. I think as well, you might need to look back on the wording that's used in this script as well and compare that to like usual conversation during the 1920s, because as it stands right now, this could be a conversation you could have during like modern day, I feel like, and I feel like it'll really push it that much forward if you just, you know, slip in some of that 20s slang or just way of speaking into it and make it feel a little bit more distinct than what it feels like right now, because right now the dialogue feels a little bit flat at the moment.
Well, I mean, we're already stepping out of the 20s considering that there's a woman professor.
Oh, they're meant to be it could be either way. They're not
Oh, really?
They did not specify the gender.
I thought I had the distinct impression it was a lady.
That might just be because I leaned towards that just on my own, because I saw the name Augustine and I figured that's a female name. But
but I guess if it's the last name, Professor Augustine.
The dev specifically said it's a gender neutral name, so you could imagine them as either way. But I do think the script could just use a little bit more polish and a little bit more like snipping around the edges, and you could really have a great like dynamic going on here. Again, this is the demo. This might not super reflect exactly how the final product is going to sound and play out and move, but I just think a couple more revisions, so you go through a couple more times and really nail down the aesthetic and the time period you want, you could have a very dynamic script here that feels really nice and smooth to go through, and will offer an experience that not many people have in other visual novels of this type here. It comes down to a confidence in the dialogue to me, and that it really does get felt by a player. But I love the idea. I love the concept. I like the papers, please kind of approach of laying everything on your desk and being able to personally examine it. Because I think there's some promise with that mechanic, but I feel like the mechanic hasn't justified itself to me enough. Because the main thing that decided the ending, as far as I'm aware, is like being told, hey, you should look at that coin under the blacklight longer. But I think it would have been cooler if, like, through the course of the investigation, you have a sneaking suspicion that that could be the case, and you end up doing that yourself during that part, instead of needing to be told to do it, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I think what's rewarding about this system that you're trying to build here is that you let the player solve the case, and not rely on whether you talk to the right person. Well, that can have an aspect, too, of information-wise, but I think being able to naturally stumble across solutions yourself would benefit this game a lot more than having to rely on you going down the correct route to get the information.
Yeah. I agree that we should have been able to discover the bug thing without being told about it. I think if you held the blacklight over it long enough, they should have coded a thing in where the coin starts like rattling or something. It just being like because the professor told me to do this, something new happens. It just kind of felt cheap to me.
Yeah, it took away from the fun of investigating, and in that case, it's not investigating. All that table has done is have us look and read, and then she lays out everything we need to know at the end. Which, again, if that's the game you want to make, that's a whole different. You just want a more tactile visual novel, that's fine. But if your goal is to be making a mystery game in which the player is solving things, the current system, as I'm currently seeing it, is not adequately giving me the satisfaction of solving the case. But again, it could also just come down that they want to make a system that is pretty much just a more tactile visual novel, in which case that's fine, you know? Put in some gameplay elements to make a visual novel a bit more than a visual novel.
Alright, well, I've got an early day tomorrow, and I wrecked my sleep schedule for Daredevil, so I am
if you can stay for a little bit longer before after stream, I'm gonna throw it over to someone, but I do want to talk to you about your fella.
Yes. My special little boy.
Your special little boy. But everyone, thank you for watching. We had a lovely little stream here, a double feature. We got Locomotive done, and we got to play the end of Death and Faeology. Highly recommend you go check out and wishlist it and check it out yourself if you think it looks cool. As I said, despite my criticism, I still really like the concept. I still think it's really cool, and I really want it to do well. So I offer any criticism not as like a "boo, you suck," but as a you got this. I believe in you. I believe in this right here. So go give it some love. But let's find someone we're gonna throw it over to. Who are we gonna harass? We're gonna give a lot of little kisses on their head. Let's see. Oh, I know who. You know who we're gonna hit? We're gonna hit AJ. We're gonna hit our good friend AJ.
Oh, he's streaming? Yeah, of course.
Yes, he's doing Deathloop. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna go over there, our lovely good friend AJ, and we're gonna attack him. We're gonna go in there. He's very handsome. Very handsome. Gotta remember that. Very handsome. We're gonna go over there. You're gonna let him know I sent you. You're gonna give him some love. You give him some hustle. Give him some respect. And we're gonna enjoy his little Deathloop stream. He's having a nice little fun time playing Deathloop, which I love. that game very dearly. I listen to the soundtrack to it pretty regularly, and it is a very inspiring game for me. But yeah, go over there immediately and give him some love. Give him some smooches from us as a community. But as usual, I gotta do my usual outro. I gotta remind you all, because sometimes you forget, and it's alright, but you do forget sometimes. Remember, mistake quality mistakes. Get out.